So I took my hair down. Um, I had a second objection to Kalam that I wanted to work out, also in a sort of impromptu way, and that is the. It's not really a hidden premise. It's just another way of stating the first premise, I think. But the notion that something doesn't come from nothing. Again, the language here is what's key. The notion something does not come from nothing. It implies that there is a state of being called nothing. Professor Craig, these are both kind of responses to Professor Craig. He goes out of his way, especially in his debate with Lawrence Krauss, to point out that the quantum vacuum is not nothing. And I agree. In this sort of metaphysical sense, this is not nothing. But the other thing that nothing is not is a state of being. It's not like, if you ask the question, what was before the beginning of the universe, and assuming that existence itself begins with the Big Bang, for instance, and I know that doesn't really have a scientific consensus behind it, but for the sake of argument, let's assume the universe begins with the Big Bang. I would contend that to respond to the question, what was before the Big Bang, if you say nothing, that's problematic. And the reason why is that, again, we imagine this state of being. We imagine a void, kind of. We don't... And the reason why is that it's a positive answer. You know, it's a positive claim. Nothing was before the Big Bang. This is automatically misrepresentative. It automatically subverts itself, I think. The appropriate way to deal with that question, I think, is to rephrase it as, there was no before the Big Bang. Because the idea of before is an absurdity. It's a limit that we can't get across. So the idea of something does not come from nothing sort of falls apart, because when we realize that there is no such thing as nothing, the word nothing is useful in a colloquial sense, but in terms of philosophical rigor, in terms of the kind of specificity of language that we require in order to interrogate the world, I think it's a really slippery word that allows for all sorts of misinterpretations. So again, the takeaway is that it's not that nothing was before the Big Bang, it's there was no before the Big Bang. So that rejection of the question is much more powerful to me, and it doesn't allow for something like, you know, something doesn't come from nothing, and therefore God. And I think if you take that away, Kalam kind of falls apart. Any thoughts, please? Post in the comments or video response. Subscribe if you feel like it. Have a good night.